Chapter 9 of The Death of Ivan Ilyitch by Leo Tolstoy. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Late at night his wife came back. She came in on tiptoe, but he heard her, opened his eyes, and made haste to close them again. She wanted to send away Gerasim and sit up with him herself instead. He opened his eyes and said, "No, go away." "Are you in great pain?" "Always the same." "Take some opium." He agreed and drank it. She went away. Till 3 o'clock he slept a miserable sleep. It seemed to him that he and his pain were being thrust somewhere into a narrow, deep, black sack, and they kept pushing him further and further in, and still could not thrust him to the bottom. And this operation was awful to him, and was accompanied with agony. And he was afraid, and yet wanted to fall into it, and struggled, and yet tried to get into it. And all of a sudden he slipped and fell, and woke up. Gerasim, still the same, is sitting at the foot of the bed, half dozing peacefully, patient. And he is lying with his wasted legs clad in stockings, raised on Gerasim's shoulders, the same candle burning in the alcove, and the same interminable pain. "Go away, Gerasim," he whispered. "It's all right, sir. I'll stay a bit longer." "No, go away." He took his legs down, lay sideways on his arm, and he felt very sorry for himself. He only waited till Gerasim had gone away into the next room. He could restrain himself no longer, and cried like a child. He cried at his own helplessness, at his awful loneliness, at the cruelty of people, at the cruelty of God, at the absence of God. "Why hast thou done all this? What brought me to this? Why torture me so horribly?" He did not expect an answer, and wept indeed that there was and could be no answer. The pain grew more acute again, but he did not stir, did not call. He said to himself, "Come, more then. Come, strike me. But what for? What have I done to thee? What for?" Then he was still, ceased weeping, held his breath, and was all attention. He listened, as it were, not to a voice uttering sounds, but to the voice of his soul, to the current of thoughts that rose up within him. "What is it you want?" was the first clear idea able to be put into words that he grasped. "What? Not to suffer, to live," he answered. And again he was utterly plunged into attention so intense that even the pain did not distract him. "To live? Live how?" the voice of his soul was asking. "Why, live as I used to live before, happily and pleasantly." "As you used to live before, happily and pleasantly?" queried the voice. And he began going over in his imagination the best moments of his pleasant life. But strange to say, all these best moments of his pleasant life seemed now not at all what they had seemed then. All, except the first memories of childhood. There, in his childhood, there had been something really pleasant in which one could have lived if it had come back. But the creature who had this pleasant experience was no more. It was like a memory of someone else. As soon as he reached the beginning of what had resulted in him as he was now, Ivan Ilyitch, all that had seemed joys to him then now melted away before his eyes and were transformed into something trivial and often disgusting. And the further he went from childhood, the nearer to the actual present, the more worthless and uncertain were the joys. It began with life at the school of jurisprudence. Then there had still been something genuinely good. Then there had been gaiety. Then there had been friendship. Then there had been hopes. But in the higher classes these good moments were already becoming rarer. Later on, during the first period of his official life, at the governor's, good moments appeared. but it was all mixed, and less of it was good. And further on, even less was good, and the further he went, the less good there was. His marriage, as gratuitous as the disillusion of it, and the smell of his wife's breath, and the sensuality, the hypocrisy, and that deadly official life, and anxiety about money, and so for 1 year, and 2, and 10, and 20, and always the same thing. And the further he went, the more deadly it became. As though I had been going steadily downhill, imagining that I was going uphill. So it was, in fact. In public opinion, I was going uphill, and steadily as I got up it, life was ebbing away from me. And now the work's done. There's only to die. But what is this? What for? It cannot be. It cannot be that life has been so senseless, so loathsome. And if it really was, so loathsome and senseless, then why die, and die in agony? There's something wrong. Can it be I have not lived as one ought? Suddenly came into his head. But how not so, when I've done everything as it should be done? He said, and at once dismissed this only solution of all the enigma of life and death as something utterly out of the question. What do you want now? To live? Live how? Live as you live at the courts when the usher booms out, "The judge is coming." The judge is coming, the judge is coming, he repeated to himself. Here he is, the judge. But I'm not to blame, he shrieked in fury. What's it for? And he left off crying, and turning with his face to the wall, fell to pondering always on the same question. What for? Why all this horror? But however much he pondered, he could not find an answer. And whenever the idea struck him, as it often did, that it all came of his never having lived as he ought, he thought of all the correctness of his life, and dismissed this strange idea. End of chapter 9, read by Laurieann Walden.